What's going on, folks? Welcome to our Class vs. Crass Nintendo Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Tonight we have a very special guest joining us, Shane from Rerez. Shane, how's it going?
Pretty good, guys. How are you doing?
We're doing all right. Thanks for joining us on Class vs. Crass. It's nice to see some classy guests with us. And it is the usual, Sean Long. How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good.
Oh, God, there's a fly that just fell in my wine.
Drink it.
No.
Drink it!
That's disappointing. So if this is the first time that you're joining us, our podcast usually lasts for an hour. We do have a format to it. We always like to start the show off with, what have you been playing? And that's where we all kind of share what we've been playing over the past week. Then we go into this new segment that we've started where each of us have a top 5 topic that we shared with each other in the past week, but we haven't revealed what our choices are. So we're going to reveal that live, talk about it. We also have a few giveaways tonight. So we have 2 games to give away for the Wii U for the North American audience. So we'll be giving those away throughout the hour. Oh, Sean, we got to come up with some trivia for that. Or maybe Shane. Shane's good with trivia.
Maybe.
Then we go into some headlines, and then we go into the audience questions. So if you guys have any questions for our guest or for any of us, or any topics you want us to discuss in the Nintendo world, do bring it up. So Shane, since you're the guest of honor, and I have to get this fly out of my wine, what have you been playing?
I have been playing a lot of Pinball Arcade. I was at a recent convention, and I got to play a game called Roller Jam, which is I believe 1993 pinball machine from Williams, created by Steve Ritchie, who's one of the greatest pinball creators in the world. And it got me hooked into playing Pinball Arcade again. And Pinball Arcade is just this fantastic digitized version of real pinball machines that existed in the past. So they cover a whole bunch of games, including one pinball table by Steve Ritchie, actually a couple pinball table by Steve Ritchie. One of my favorites, Black Knight 2000, and I've been playing that over and over and over again. Really, really good.
You ever listen to a Pinball Wizard while you're playing those games?
Well, the theme song for the menu kind of sounds like Pinball Wizard, so it just kind of works that way. I just like to listen to whatever the pinball machine has for music, if it has one, and usually the music's pretty good. Specifically with Black Knight 2000, that's got a fantastic soundtrack.
All right. So is that it? Mainly some pinball for you over the last week?
Pretty much, yeah.
How about you, Sean? What have you been playing and or are playing now live on this podcast? Black screen of death. Awesome. Did he disconnect again, or is it just
me? I think he disconnected, yep.
What a guy. We need to pay that guy more so he actually can pay his internet bills. All right, well, I guess I'll go next. Sean just shout out to us when you are back. I can see him messaging me. Yep, lots of curse in my Facebook chat. So, what have I been playing? Nothing too special. A lot of Mario Kart, some Splatoon. What was my big game? A lot of Paper Mario from the N64 days. I got into that for the first time a few weeks ago. And first time going through it, I'm at my 5th or 6th star now. I don't know if you've played that one, Shane? Your original Paper Mario?
I did, but I didn't really complete it. But I did play it, though. I played all the Paper Mario games at least once. So.
Oh. Have you had the chance to try the new Splatoon content at all?
No. The only time I've played Splatoon was in beta, and I never actually got the game when it came out.
Oh, you poor thing. We got to get that for your birthday.
Maybe.
Like that. Sean has so much crass that he pounces at random intervals, pretty much. But yeah, the new Splatoon update has really changed up the game. They've actually added new music into the levels, like the multiplayer levels. They've actually redesigned the maps, so that throws you for a twist. And of course, they've added tons of weapons, increased the level cap to 50 or 60? 50. Yeah. Oh my goodness, look who's back.
Shut up.
Gotta pay your internet bills, man.
My router keeps resetting. I'm gonna have to call them tomorrow.
Well, stop kicking it.
I'm upstairs.
So what have you been playing?
I've been playing Castlevania 3 because I want to do a live stream of it at some point, but I'm terrible at it. Splatoon, of course, and something. Playing Sweet Home still, because I'll probably do something on that at some point, and wrestling games on the N64, because those are the best.
Of course. How do you like the new Splatoon update? Because I was playing it around with you.
I like it. I like what they did with the maps, like changing the maps. That's pretty interesting. Because you don't really see like a game that updates the maps but changes like the layout of them. So that's pretty cool. I like the new weapons. The new lobbies are great. Music's cool. So yeah, I mean, for free, like, it's stuff that should have been included. The lobbies and whatnot, but it's cool.
It actually does feel a lot more meaty now.
Yeah, you can actually play with people that you want to play with, as opposed to just whoever. But yeah, it's good. It
was a good time. Also, I forgot to mention, I've also started to get into Child of Light, which so far is meeting my expectation, which was pretty high because our Nintendo Enthusiast reviewers gave it a 10 out of 10. So like, whoa.
Too high.
Did you play it?
Me? Yeah. I bought it when it came out. I didn't really care for it.
I don't see it as a Shenlong kind of game.
I mean, I love RPGs, but like it felt very I don't know. It didn't, like, I guess for the price it's good, but it's not. People made it out like it was the second coming of Jesus, and I was like, it was okay.
Did you give it a try, Shane, at all? Child of Light?
No, I didn't play it at all.
No.
It looked really good though, but I just didn't give it a shot.
I don't know if the sale is still on, but you can like pick it up for $3 right now, which is what I did.
Oh, I might have to do that then.
Yep. All right, so you guys want to get into some top 5 lists?
Top 5 Friday tonight.
Yeah, I'm good for that.
All right. Any special requests as who do we start with first? I'm going to start with mine because it's the most boring. I actually love the one that Shane brought to the table. So my top 5 came from the idea of I had some friends come over who have never touched a Wii U, and I have my whole library, and I was like, okay, now you got to try this game, now you got to try this game. So my top 5 for you guys is, what are your top 5 Wii U recommendations, Wii U game recommendations that you would show a friend who has never played a Wii U, and you're trying to sell them on the console? So we're just going to start off with our number 5s, go around robin, and since you're the guest, Shane, you get to go first all the time.
Okay, so my top 5 video game consoles?
So not consoles. This is the top 5 Wii U games you would recommend to someone.
Your connection kind of cut out there. Okay, so my top 5 Wii U games.
Starting with number 5.
Starting with number 5. Mario Kart 8.
Good choice.
Yeah, I love Mario Kart. I love the series. I think it's probably one of the best entries into the franchise. Despite the fact that the combat in the game is completely terrible, I really, really like the racing in it, and I think the racing's so good it completely bypasses the bad combat in the game. So number 4 would be Super Smash Brothers.
Hold on.
Oh, we go one by one.
One by one. Sorry. Okay.
We all go 5, then I'll go.
Get into it. Okay, cool.
That's all right. That's funny. Mario Kart didn't even make my list. Sean, go.
For number 5, there's a excellent underrated indie title called The Letter. It really redefined the horror genre, and there was a really cool cameo in that game on one of the wanted posters that really, I felt, added to the game. And it was just a fantastic experience, and one that everyone should experience.
You can keep the straight face.
Screw
Are you absolutely going with that as your number 5?
I'm going with it. I don't care. Self-promotion.
You ass. My number 5 is Hyrule Warriors because it's so addictive, and even if you've played the Samurai Warriors series, I feel Hyrule Warriors spices it up to a level that even if you've played on another console, you gotta try here. And everyone has heard of Zelda, so to see Zelda in that role, it's just addicting. I put a lot of hours into Hyrule Warriors, so it's my number 5. Number 4. Up to you,
So
Shane.
that will start off with me. Okay, so Super Smash Brothers on the Wii U is, I think that one, I don't want to call it the best Super Smash Brothers game they've ever released, but it's simply one of the most. It's one of the games I've had the most fun with on the console, and I've played that religiously with my friends a lot.
It's funny you say that's not the best. Which one would be your best?
Well, I think Melee definitely got more hours from me. I just remember playing Melee again and again and again, and it really felt like a full experience type of game. Not that the latest one isn't, but I just love the way that Melee kind of plays and the way it worked, and I really like that. It was just had to be one of my favorite games ever released on the GameCube. So it's a tough one to beat.
It is. Now, do you feel that maybe it would be the timing? Obviously, when Melee came out, I'm guessing you were probably in university,
No,
college, no,
high school.
high school.
Yeah, I'm young. So yeah, it was good. When Melee came out, it hit me at this really good point, and just. You gotta understand the GameCube controller was despised by most people when Melee came out. The GameCube didn't really hit with a lot of people, but I love that controller, and when you play that game with a GameCube controller, it sings. And the reason why I think I like Super Smash Brothers on the Wii U so much too is because they've made a good effort to utilize that controller as well. But on the GameCube, I think it's just perfect. It's just a fantastic game.
I loved it, but that was my university days. Sean, number 4.
Number 4, I would go with. It's actually a game that's not going to be on any of your lists, but Deus Ex: The Human Revolution Director's Cut. One of the best uses of the gamepad, and a amazing game. So much content, lots of stuff to do. And just a fantastic game. So good, and like nobody bought it, of course, because it was a third-party game on the Wii U. But definitely a hidden gem. I mean, you could buy a new copy for $13 off Amazon, and it's well worth it. Like, it's such a good game.
I've heard a lot of good things about it, but I haven't actually gotten into it.
It's like literally like you'll have to have. Oh, my phone's making noises. You'll have to devote a lot of time to it because it's like I think it took me 35 hours my first playthrough, but there's so many like side missions and stuff. It's a phenomenal game, absolutely phenomenal.
I might have to try it. My number 4 was kind of fun. I love the diversity that we have here so far. My number 4 is Nintendo Land. And actually, I know it made one of your underrated lists, Sean, on a video that you've put on our channel. Yeah, it did. Nintendo Land is underrated. I think it was perceived a little bit too much like Wii Sports because it was kind of bundled in with the Wii U at first. But that game has just a lot of fun to it, and it really does show what you can do with the Wii U gamepad. It has a lot of diversity, has a lot of different games. And I definitely had a blast with my friends when I showed them that. So number 3.
Okay, so number 3 from me is Super Mario World 3D. Super Mario 3D World, whatever you want to call it. That one was really good. I really loved that game on the 3DS, and that was my favorite game on the 3DS, hands down. Cleared it completely, 100% of the game. I just loved every minute of it. And when they brought it to the Wii U, it's just one of the best games they released. And making the multiplayer aspect into it was just genius because, like, this is the first time in a long while that you can actually play as Peach in a Mario game again. And I love that because just the floating mechanic she's got, it was always a win for me for Super Mario Brothers 2. So seeing that back in this game was just amazing, and I really like that. Also, beautiful graphics, like one of the best on the system.
For sure. I didn't like 3D Land as much. It hurt my eyes. On the 3DS.
Oh yeah, I turned it on because there's those little mini games where when you turn it on, then you can see everything in 3D. I really wanted that stuff, and it made the 3D worth it for me, I think.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
I turned it on. Number 3, Sean.
Once again, I'm gonna come out of left field with Batman Arkham City Armored Edition. Once again, a fantastic game with, it had all the DLC from the PS3, Xbox 360 versions, had excellent use of the gamepad for a third-party game, and I mean like games like Deus Ex and Batman Arkham City kind of show that the Wii U could have done really good third-party ports, and when they actually tried to use the gamepad. But I mean, that's one of my most played games on the system. Like, it's just such a good game, and it flows really well, and I really enjoyed the way the gamepad was used in the game. So yeah, fantastic game.
Cool. My number 3 is whoops, wrong document. My number 3 is the same as Shane's. I picked Mario 3D World only if it was multiplayer, because I felt the multiplayer aspect was really what made that game shine, even though it's really fun single player. But if I had to suggest single player to someone who's never touched the Wii U at part 3, I would give them Captain Toad, just because that game is just so unique in how you actually have to look around and you can touch the gamepad and stuff, and it's really fun. It's charming, and it's hard. It gets hard. Number 2. Up to you, Shane.
Oh, right, sorry. Wind Waker. Now, Wind Waker on GameCube is fantastic. Everyone agrees, usually. When Wind Waker came out, a lot of hate, but I think over time people have learned to appreciate that game for what it is, which is one of the best Zelda games ever made. And I think one of the best things about Wind Waker on the Wii U is that it took everything that you got from being able to hook up your Game Boy Advance to your GameCube and just implemented it so well with the Wii U gamepad. And I think that is really one of the best ways to play the game. When I've actually had people come up to me and ask me what version should I play, the one on GameCube or the one on Wii U, and hands down I say Wii U. The Wii U's version of the gamepad controls and everything, I think it just trumps the GameCube version completely, and it just makes the game so much more fun to play. So definitely, the Wii U version of Wind Waker is just awesome.
Now you're just copying my list. This is my number 2 as well. And I'm going to cut off Sean just because we have the same one. Same thing as you said. The original Wind Waker, I actually hated it just because I wanted the realistic one. And Wind Waker HD was just so crisp. It was so fun just sailing around, especially that they improved that faster sail. And It's the only game still to date which has actually made me love using Miiverse. I haven't used Miiverse as much as I have in that game from trying to get all the pictures. I would just, whenever I'd snap a picture, I'd share it on Miiverse through the bottle system, and I was trying to collect all the trophies, and that was just an amazing integration of Miiverse. Sean, number 2.
Bayonetta 2. Just, one of the best. A lot of Nintendo or a lot of games for the Wii U don't have a gritty or realistic look to them. I'm not saying that Bayonetta is realistic, but more so than your bright and colorful Mario game. Fantastic game, great gameplay. You get the first one for free, fun story, good multiplayer. I mean, it's definitely a complete package game and one of the best on the Wii U.
Definitely a great game. Number 1, since I already said my number 2, Shane.
Okay, so when I think of the Wii U, I want to think of the best game on the Wii U being the one that utilizes the controller the best, has kind of the tightest graphics, and really uses the Wii U to its full advantage. I think Pikmin 3 is the best game you can own on the Wii U simply because the way it utilizes the gamepad is absolute perfection. That game is designed completely with the Wii U in mind. And while other games that have come out on the Wii U over time have not really used the gamepad screen to the best of its abilities, I think Pikmin 3 was just created from the ground up as being the single best Wii U game that they've ever made on the system. And that's simply because it just does everything completely with the Wii U in mind.
That's true. It was I haven't played that honestly in 2 years, but you had the whole map on that, right? That you had to pay attention to, but you still use the Wii mode, right?
Yep.
So
if you wanted to, yeah, you could. You had multiple control options, but the Wii U gamepad was simply the best way to play it. And I think in Nintendo Land, that little touch of Pikmin Land there, I think that introduced that same kind of idea as well, and that idea was carried over into the final version of the game. I think it just made it really awesome. And honestly, the Wii U is probably one of the best systems out there to play RTS games on, but we just don't have any RTS games coming out on it, which is a shame.
Well, there's Hex Heroes. But,
Yeah, we haven't heard a lot from them lately, though.
yeah, they've been too quiet.
We'll have to hit them up because that game does look pretty good. My number one, I'm gonna play it safe and just say Mario Kart 8. You know, it's fun as hell. It's very accessible to where your little kid or your dad could enjoy it. Gorgeous graphics, still some of the best on the system, I think, and really tight gameplay. The online is solid, just a very complete game. So if I was showing someone the Wii U, I mean, because like you've got a chick over at the place, you can just be like, yo, check this game out. And she's like, oh, Mario Kart, I love Mario Kart. And then you're golden. So yeah, I'll go with Mario Kart.
All right, I just realized I should have really put Splatoon on here because I do show that to everyone. It didn't make my top 5. That's just an oversight. But my first Wii U game was Rayman Legends, and it's actually the first one I also demoed, and that's the one that actually sold me on getting the Wii U.
Wow.
I haven't played it on the other systems. You say wow, but I played it to play it with multiplayer, and I actually played this with Lee Swiffa, who I do the show Make a Gamer Out of Lee, and that's where I discovered that she had never played games before, and that she was
Tales of a Noob Gamer.
That's right, I did change it. The channel is Tales of a Noob Gamer, but the show is Gamer Out of Lee.
You sure?
So I'm sure. I know my stuff.
Okay.
So yeah, she had the gamepad, which was like perfect for her level of like aptitude, competency. All she had to do was like cut ropes and stuff, but it was still hectic for her because I'm like, oh, cut this, and I'm like doing my platforming, which I love platformers. So like that combination to me was just you can't get that on any other platform. Playing as Murphy on the other platforms, I don't know how it's done, but I can't imagine it being as intuitive as the gamepad. So Rayman Legends gets my vote.
That's interesting. I actually, I'll be honest with you, I haven't played Rayman Legends, and sacrilege, but I haven't played Pikmin 3.
What, do you have it?
No, I've never played a Pikmin.
You've never played a Pikmin ever?
Nope.
Wow.
You're a Nintendo enthusiast?
Everyone always says that to me. I don't know, but just like looking at it and watching people play it, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't appeal to me. Like I'll play it one day, but
dude, you like pick up every indie game that's a platformer, but you don't. Oh wait, we're talking about Pikmin. Sorry, I thought I was on Rayman Legends.
Yeah, but I've never played that either.
Yeah, you gotta pick those up. Honestly, Pikmin 3 is the only Pikmin game I've played, but well worth it. Although I haven't picked up since I beat it, so.
Yeah, I'll check it out one day.
All right, are we ready to give away a game?
Yeah, give away a game.
I got a question.
All right, Shane. Okay, so Shane, I like to dub Shane as the obscure gamer because this guy knows some crazy shit.
All right, guys. So I want to ask right now: should I make it hard or should I make it easy? And I'm gonna make this a Nintendo question.
Not too hard.
Hard.
Hard? You want hard?
Hang on.
I love hard.
He loves it.
Okay.
Wait. Before you ask it, let me say what we have for giveaway here. So we do have a copy of Zaxxa's Last Stand, which was donated or sponsored, whatever, given away by the developer, Zenfa Productions. So we have 2 codes for Zaxxa's Last Stand. It's a tower defense game set in space using crayon colors, has an awesome soundtrack, great music. It's pretty intense.
It's a very underrated game. When I first saw the visuals on it, I didn't really understand it. But I think it's a really good game. Like I've played that like a good bit, and I always seem to have fun with it. I love how it's a very very solid game. I mean, it's a shame that a lot of people didn't play it.
But now you get the chance to play it if you can answer this question.
Okay, you want hard?
Make it hard, Shane.
All right, baby, this is how it's going to go. Everybody at home, if you're a real Nintendo fan, you're going to know this one. So I'm going to be paying attention to the chat there to see if anybody gets it. What 6th generation Nintendo console was never sold in Japan?
Can you type the answer in our private little chat? So, can you repeat that? What
6th generation Nintendo console was never sold in Japan?
But it was sold outside of Japan?
Yes. I'm not saying where, I'm just saying it was sold outside Japan, but it was never sold in Japan. It also was never sold in North America. It was also never sold in Europe.
Oh, no.
And I always wanted one.
Did you really?
Yes, that's like a holy grail sort of item there.
I have one sitting beside me. Somewhere.
Ah, you bet.
It's around here somewhere.
Would people even know what it's called if you showed it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I'll
they
show
would.
it and see if they figure it out.
They should. I think someone in here will know it.
It's a home console. It's not portable.
How many games did that console have?
I believe it had 10. It's an
Wow.
official Nintendo console.
Yeah.
Obviously, they didn't believe in it much.
See, everybody always says they're a Nintendo fan, but then when you bring out this kind of knowledge, they don't even know. You know what,
shit.
Nico, I'll give you that. The Panasonic GameCube is a very good choice, but the problem is it was a GameCube and it was sold in Japan, so that doesn't actually work.
And while you guys are, Dawson, while you guys are off pitching your answers, as a little teaser, our next top 5. So the next one Sean pitched were the top 5 consoles of all time. So we're going to go through that. And Shane brought a very interesting one. He asked us to put together our top 5 DOS games that we would bring back for modern gamers or for modern gaming.
Mm-hmm. The top 5 DOS games that modern gamers should play.
Right. What's DOS? What is DOS?
Well, DOS is it's short form for Disk Operating System, but its original name was Quick and Dirty Operating System. It was QDOS. And there we go, Wild Wolf 21 got it. It's the IQ Player. The IQ Player is a Nintendo 64 that was only sold in mainland China, and it was built into a tiny controller. That's what it is. Never sold in Japan, never sold anywhere else, only mainland China, and it is an official Nintendo product.
Can you show it to us?
Yeah, just one sec. Let me go get it.
Let's have a little show and tell here.
Yeah, that's a holy grail item for me.
How much does it go for nowadays?
If you can find one that
In a bag.
it's ridiculous.
Now everyone's naming IQ Player.
I Quibi.
Here we go. Show it up.
Are online.
So I'll show you guys what this looks like.
Nintendo porn. Here we go.
This is it. This is the IQ Player. This is the actual console completely. It's a Nintendo 64 built into this controller, and the games are stored on this memory card. You would go to a kiosk to download games or install them online, and that's how it looked. Only available in China, never anywhere else, and this is an official Nintendo product, believe it or not.
Where's the Nintendo seal on that thing?
Right there.
It has the seal of
It actually does have the seal. Not fake. That's a completely authentic and completely real.
So congratulations to Wild Wolf for winning the code to Zaxa's Last Stand. We do have one more we're going to be giving away probably 15-20 minutes, so do stick around for that. Do you have a video on your channel on the IQ Player by any chance?
We will have one very soon.
Okay, so if you want to see Shane talk more about that with his sexy camera shots, which he loves to do, he makes video game porn basically. Do head over to Rerez. Just is it youtube.com/Rerez?
Yep, YouTube. If you just go to rerez.net, it takes you straight to YouTube, and yeah, it works that way too.
And you'll see a nice video of Shane's on the IQ Player in the near future. All right, guys. Next up is our top 5 consoles. This one I think we can go through a little quicker. So Shane, number 5.
Okay, so top 5 consoles?
Top 5 consoles.
All right. FM Towns Marty. FM Towns Marty was a Japanese video game system. It was based off the FM Towns, which was kind of like a PC system. Let me tell you guys, in Japan, when everyone was rushing to 3D graphics in North America, the FM Towns Marty was one of the last systems to utilize 2D graphics to its maximum. Just like the Neo Geo, honestly, guys, the FM Towns Marty has some games on it that look better on that system than any other platform, period. Rare games that you may have heard of, like Policenauts. Policenauts has this specific version created for that system that looks absolutely phenomenal, completely pixelated, unique to that platform. Great system.
Never heard of it. Sean, number 5.
number 5 is an obscure system. Some YouTuber actually made a video like calling it the worst system ever, and I didn't really like that, but he's Canadian, so I figured he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's called the Wireless 60. It's an amazing system, really, really well done, and it's almost inspired me to create a series on the personal channel called Positives with a Z on the end. And pretty much I'm just going to talk about the Wireless 60 being so awesome. So definitely the Wireless 60.
What a horrible, horrible system. One of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I hate every minute of it. I gave it away to a museum just so they could show it, just as a point, so people will know not to buy it in the future.
It belongs in a museum.
Belongs in a museum.
Much better impression. God, I feel like I'm going to be naming all these like well-known consoles while you guys kind of like see who has the best.
Well, no, I mean, you're
number 5,
no,
Genesis.
your 5th one.
My Sega Genesis. It was a great console. It brought Nintendo not necessarily to its knees, but it gave Nintendo a run for its money. Had Sonic on it. Had Rocket Knight. Just had Gunstar Heroes. Had so many good games. So yeah, Sega Genesis. That's my number 5. Number 4.
Number 4 is kind of a weird one too. So this is called the Pioneer Laser Active. Now the Pioneer Laser Active is a very interesting Laserdisc-based system. I wanted to say Sega Genesis, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to do something different. The Pioneer Laser Active came with these little kiosk pieces. You buy them separately and attach them into the system. So with the Pioneer Laser Active, you could play Sega Genesis games, Sega CD games, at the time they were Mega CD, PC Engine, and PC Engine CD games. So this one system was capable of doing Laserdisc games, Sega Genesis games, and PC Engine games all in one box. It was stupid expensive. Like I'm talking $970 American, I think, with the conversion right there. But it's amazing. It's big, it's bulky, it's crazy. It shouldn't have existed, but it does. And it's a fantastic, weird system, and I love the history behind it.
Now that's the system where like you bought like little things to slip into a slot, and that's how you play the game, right?
Yeah, you literally
Okay.
it would be this big box, and then you'd get this little attachment piece, and you'd slide that attachment piece in, and that would be
Right.
that would give you the ability to play Sega Genesis games. It was only, I believe, released in Japan, to my knowledge. It might have been released in North America, but it's mostly known as Mega Drive or Mega CD and PC Engine and stuff like that instead of TurboGrafx or whatever. So it's a very neat system.
Do I go next?
Yeah, I'm typing. I can't speak and type.
All right. My number 4 is the Super Nintendo, only because I didn't play the Super Nintendo as a kid, so I didn't play a lot of Super Nintendo stuff when I was younger. I didn't play it till I was early 20s and starting out. So definitely the Super Nintendo, stellar lineup of games, very powerful system, and in my opinion, it's kind of weird how some people will say the Genesis had a better sound chip than the Super Nintendo, because to me, the Super Nintendo sound chip is a million times better than the Genesis one. I mean, they're kind of very different, so it's hard to compare them, but I always enjoyed the sound of Super Nintendo games versus Genesis, so Super Nintendo, number 4.
Same here. Super Nintendo is also my number 4. I did not own this SNES, or the SNES as some say. I was a Genesis kid. And do you guys say SNES or SNES?
I say SNES.
I say SNES. Once in a while, I'll
Okay.
slip up and say SNES.
All right. My cousin had a SNES, so I always loved playing, obviously, Mario World and Mega Man X at his place. But then when I finally caught up on my backlog in gaming, there was like so many good games, so many good RPGs in my RPG days. I just went through like half the SNES library. Amazing console. Great games on it. Number 3.
Number 3, Vectrix. Now, Vectrix is kind of a little bit of a more well-known system, kinda. So the Vectrix was released, and I believe, give me a sec, I think that was 1980. Am I right? Am I wrong? Vectrix. Let me see, one sec.
Don't mind me as I pour this thing. Makes weird
Is
noises.
that like an aerator for
It's an narrator, yeah. It's this little thing here.
Okay, the Vectrix was released in. Oh boy, was I right? 1982, a little bit off. Anyway, so the Vectrix is this really cool, tiny little video game system. It's a box, pretty much, self-contained with a monitor and all that stuff. But you had to plug it up at home. Didn't run off batteries. The controller was built into it. But the beautiful thing about this system is that it used vector graphics, so they were really sharp-looking, better than what pixels were being produced at the time. So you'd get these really cool arcade-like looking games off of this tiny little box that you could have on your countertop or your kitchen counter, whatever. You could play this thing like it was an arcade system. The really cool thing about this system is that every game you bought came in this pretty big box, and it had an overlay that you'd put over front of your screen so that you could actually see what all the graphics meant and everything. So it's a little weird system, but it's actually really cool. And if you can find one, they probably go for like about $100, but they're really, really neat.
Cool. Sean?
My number 3 would be I do love the Vectrix, so I would love to get one. Number 3 is the Genesis. Genesis, you gotta get Genesis like nothing ever before. Genesis is so much more. I love the system. It's so good. And actually, that was supposed to be number 2, but we'll just make it number 3.
All right. My number 3. My next choices are kind of lame, but my number 3 goes to the 3DS. It's the.
I thought we were wait. I thought we were doing consoles. That's a handheld.
Oh shit! Did I break the rules?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you did, or else my list would
I
probably
completely
be a little different.
See, when you guys said top 5 Wii U games, I only picked Nintendo games only available on the Wii U, and when we were doing top 5 consoles, I only did consoles.
Yeah,
all right.
Console, not handheld.
NES. There you go. It's a great.
All right.
It's a great system.
Good job.
Saved the industry from the gaming crash and had a bunch of cool accessories, including Zapper and Rob the Robot. And it introduced most of us to gaming.
Fuck Rob the Robot. That thing sucks ass.
But the 3DS does deserve a shout out because it's an amazing system, although not a console.
Yeah, it's a handheld.
So my number 2 is actually the Nintendo Entertainment System. The NES, its seal of quality, its ability to limit the amount of games that a developer could make every year, made some of the best games ever for any system, period. The Nintendo, you can go back and play it, and those games have aged incredibly well, and that's simply because there was this really refined quality, this limitation that was at play that Nintendo enforced. While Atari had Activision just releasing games after games of games, Nintendo was basically holding this piece forward with their limitation or their lockout chip, so no one could just release any game they wanted for several years. So the NES became one of the greatest systems ever, and honestly, it completely defined a generation of gamers.
And that seal of quality was so amazing it even spawned a show about a guy who lives in the past and gets angry at all those quality games.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sean, your number, where are we at now? 2?
2. I'm gonna say the Wii, actually. I feel that the Wii gets a bad rep because of soccer moms and people that casuals who just play the basic motion control Wii Sports bullshit. But the Wii actually has an amazing library of titles. Just looking through my collection here, A Boy and His Blob was fantastic. In my opinion, it had the best version of Ghostbusters because it had that animated style that was akin to the real Ghostbusters cartoon, which I adored. GoldenEye, Mario Kart, Monster Hunter Tri, Metroid Prime 3D, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Pandora's Tower, Xenoblade. I mean, literally the list goes on and on. There were so many good third-party games on the system as well. Games like Silent Hill Shattered Memories, which was fantastic. The Godfather Black Hand Edition with The Godfather was one of my favorite games. And the motion controls actually added to that game, I felt, because, when you were stuffing a dude in the oven, it felt like you were stuffing a dude in the oven. You had the best version of Resident Evil 4. with the motion controls. I actually did not like Resident Evil 4 on the GameCube. I bought it when it came out, and I actually sold it to a friend after playing for about 2 or 3 hours because I just didn't like it. I didn't like how it felt, and on the Wii, it just felt so much better. And plus, you had the amazing access to all the GameCube games. You had amazing. The Virtual Console is better than the Wii U Virtual Console is. You had the Rebirth series from Konami, Contra Rebirth, Castlevania Rebirth, which were just fantastic. A fantastic system, and it's a shame that a lot of people, view it as just shovelware and motion control bullshit because it seriously has like one of the best libraries ever, in my opinion.
Well, my number 2, I'm going to one-up you. I'm going to go Wii U because it can do everything that your Wii can and more.
Except
Honestly,
GameCube.
It can't play GameCube games.
Okay, fair enough. The Wii U is an amazing console. I personally love it. It has a lot of indie love, which is one thing. It has Miiverse, which, I was loving that more with Wind Waker. I wish that they would do more of that now, but they don't. And, we'll see where it goes. It was strong. It's looking like it's going up over the weekend, but overall it was a good console with a lot of promise, and we'll see if they follow through with it. Number 1.
Number 1, controversial pick, the PlayStation 3. Now, the reason why I say the PlayStation 3 is my number 1 pick is simply because if you got the original launch PlayStation 3, you had backwards compatibility. So you got all the PlayStation 3 games that were on the market, but you also got the ability to play PlayStation 2 games with upscaled graphics to match a 1080p screen, so you could have these old PS2 games looking sharp. And not only that, but you could put in PlayStation 1 games as well. In fact, every PlayStation 3 on the market can run PlayStation 1 games. If you take the library of PlayStation 1 games, PlayStation 2 games, and PlayStation 3 games, I think you're looking at one of the greatest libraries for any console ever released that allowed you to use optical or original media. With games like, or with systems like the Wii U and the Wii and any system that can do backwards compatibility with downloadable titles, that's great because they have a downloadable library that's digital. But the PlayStation 3 was at its core the best of the best because it offered 2 generations down, which no other system has ever done. So I think the PlayStation 3 stands just above a lot of other systems with the abilities of what it could do for its entire library that it offered.
Good choice.
Thanks.
Number 1, NES. I mean, come on. I don't even need to say anything. It's the fucking NES.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
And it's Sean making up.
Shut up.
My number 1 goes to the PS2 simply because I don't consider the PS3, even though it did do the backwards compatibility. Only in the early life, not in the rest. Also, the PS2, I have a little bit of a weak point for it because it was the first console I ever personally bought with my own money, and I spent countless hours on it. It introduced me to DVDs. It was just at a pivotal point in my life where I used it for everything: music, movies, and of course, lots and lots of RPG gaming. PS2 wins in my list.
Honorable mention to the Dreamcast.
I'm surprised you guys didn't pick the Dreamcast.
I wanted to pick the Dreamcast, but I think the Dreamcast has great games and has some great features, but I don't consider it one of the greatest consoles. Like, it's one of my favorite consoles ever. If this was a list of my favorite consoles, Dreamcast would be number 1, but I don't think it's one of the top consoles ever made.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Stellar library.
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
guys have another trivia
Jesus
question for to give out the second code of Zuxa's Last Stand?
I guess could we ask a question, or I don't know if this is even public yet, but can we ask a question about what worlds you can access in Super Mario Maker?
What worlds?
Like you can make everything look like a different game, like a different year of the game. Like you can make all the art look like Super Mario Brothers or.
Yeah, that's public info, isn't it?
Is it? Okay, yeah. All right, let's do that. How many worlds can you? This is a stupid question because I didn't even think about it. But
it's an easy one, I find.
Is it? All right.
Yeah. Is that too easy, Sean? What do you think?
Who cares? We had a hard as balls one before.
Okay, so how many worlds How many
different
art styles can you use in Mario Maker? And the winner of that, whoever can say the number, first one in the chat, you win a copy of Zaxxa's Last Stand for the Wii U in North America. And again, it's a fun game, has a good, of course, Griffin of Might with the first number and also the winner. So the right answer was 4. Are we sure about that?
1. I don't think you can do 2.
I don't think 2 was available.
Yeah, 2 is not available.
It was Mario 1, Mario 3, Super Mario World, and the new Mario series.
Yeah.
Those were 4 gens. So Griffin of Might wins the code for Zaxxa's Last Stand. It's a North American code. I don't know. Isn't Griffin of Might in Europe, though?
No, he's in Canada.
Is he?
That's, you know who that is.
Yeah, I do. I just forgot. So this cat! Stop
Just kill it.
lying.
I told you what to do with it. Throw it off the balcony. It'll be fine. They land on their feet.
I just got my bottle of wine taken away. So, yeah, okay, so Griffin and Mike, you're going to be getting the code right after this podcast. All right, now let's go to our final top 5 lists. So again, the reason we have so many tonight is simply because usually it's Sean and myself that bring one, so it makes for, 10 titles in total, but now Shane brought his own. And now we're going to go with Shane's top 5, which is the top 5 DOS games that modern gamers should try. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
And I'm going to let you lead that list, Shane.
Okay, so guys, I wanted to pick some DOS games that are just not really common ones and ones you wouldn't find on any other platform. This is specific because I believe DOS has a lot of really cool games to offer, but I think these 5 ones here are really cool for specifically Nintendo players and console players alike. So the very first game on my list is called Boppin'. Now, Boppin' is a very strange game. It was released in 1994 on DOS, and you play as one of these 2 characters, and it's basically a puzzle game, and it's a very interesting puzzle game. Think of it like Bubble Bobble, but with like weird objects that you can throw on the screen. Every level changes its style and graphics and setting and theme, and there's like a story to it and everything. And I actually believe you can download the full game now completely for free. But it's a very, very interesting game, and that's Boppin', Boppin with a little dash. Really great game. Very fun to play.
Never heard of it. Sean, I'm surprised you actually know DOS games, honestly.
Shut up. My number 5 is going to be an easy one, just Wolfenstein 3D. Adored that game as a kid. Didn't play it as much as I would have liked to, but super, super great game. You know, legendary, helped pave the way, blah, blah, blah. And it still plays well today. It's still very fun.
All right, my number 5 is a puzzle game. It's called Trug with 2 Gs. Something I played a lot in my computer class in elementary school. You're basically this little space guy, and every time you move through this map, every square you take, you remove the grid that was there. And there's basically balls and bombs that you have to move around. You can push around and like blow up other walls. And you have to collect all the gems, and then you have to get to the door. And I've never seen a game like that since. And it was fun. It was very creative.
Cool. So I think you're going to like this next one, Sean. Blakestone Aliens of Gold. Now, this game was released in... Oh, shoot. I forget the exact year. But it was released 1 week before Doom, so no one bought it. But Blakestone Aliens of Gold runs off of the Wolfenstein 3D engine, and it just offers a bit more complexity, like keycard access and like computers and stuff like that. And there's a story to it and a narrative, and it's a really, really interesting game. It's very fun, and I think if you're a fan of Wolfenstein 3D, which a lot of people that have played the Super Nintendo Wolfenstein 3D would really, really like this kind of game. Fantastic experience. It's all alien-themed and stuff, and well worth it. But very unpopular, unfortunately.
Well, the box art didn't help that game either. I just looked it up, and I remembered it, and I was like, oh my god, that box art.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but, it was cool.
What about the Mega Man box art?
It's like that bad. It's like that same level. It's pretty damn bad. My number 4 is Jazz Jackrabbit. I don't know if it's considered a good game, but I just remember
Oh.
playing it a lot as a kid, and it was really fun. It was a really good 2D platformer. It had really good music, especially compared to, one of the things that DOS had over the 16-bit era was just so much better audio quality and music and whatnot, and that game really had really good music, so I really enjoyed that game.
Ugh. All right, we're at number 4. Mine was, I put a lot of time into this, Heroes of Might and Magic 2. Does that count because it wasn't DOS exclusive? Are we fine with that?
I don't think it matters.
I'm just mine is, but yeah, you don't have to.
All
You
right,
have to play by my bizarre rules.
Okay. Because if we did play with your bizarre rules, I would have said Castle of Dr. Brain, which is another
It's a good one.
that I loved. But yeah, Heroes of Might and Magic 2 was really fun. You had a world map. You'd have to go around collecting resources, and you can only move so far on the map each day based on your stamina. And you could also fight minions, and then it would go into its own turn-based battle system. It's just, the Heroes of Might and Magic series I think is still going today. So I think if you're familiar with the franchise, I don't think it's changed that much, but I honestly don't know.
That's
Number
cool.
2 was my that's where I fell in love with it.
Cool. So yeah, just so everyone knows, DOS is basically what predated Windows, and there's a lot of really old video games that are designed for it. It's basically PC games, just old PC games. So my number 3 is God of Thunder, which was released in 1993. Now, if you're a fan of Zelda, this is a game you got to play. It's basically your Thor, and you have a hammer, and you beat the crap out of things, and you solve puzzles, and that's all it is. And it's a really, really fun game. Lots of story into it, and it was just great. It's lots of really good sound effects, lots of good level design. Great game all around, and well worth it especially if you're a fan of Zelda and those kind of games.
What was it called, sir?
God of Thunder.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So just God of Thunder DOS or God of Thunder 1993 on Google, and it should pop up.
All right. Sean, number 3.
Oregon Trail. I love that game. It's still fun. Everyone's played it, so it's probably not a good game to put on the list. It's countless sequels and remakes and bullshit like that, but I always like to play the original classics, and Oregon Trail is still fun as hell to today, so that gets my seal of approval.
All right. My number 3 is Duke Nukem 2, and I can throw in the first one too, just for the franchise. I played a lot of this was back when Duke Nukem was a 2D platformer action. It was 2D. It wasn't 3D, and it was very charming and fun. It was just fun to shoot down aliens. And so Duke Nukem, go back to its roots if you're a Duke Nukem fan.
Yeah, it's very different for sure. So I wanted to pick a game that I thought would be very familiar to people that played the Super Nintendo growing up. This is a game called Wacky Wheels. Now, Wacky Wheels came out, I think, just after Mario Kart did, and it's a complete rip-off of Mario Kart. Wacky Wheels is essentially just Mario Kart or Super Mario Kart with animals instead of famous Nintendo characters, and it offers tons of levels, tons of variation. Basically, for everything that they could do on Super Mario Kart, they tried to add more features. Unfortunately, the one thing they couldn't do was master that really awesome visual effect that the Super Nintendo was capable of doing, called Mode 7. So because a PC couldn't do Mode 7, they kind of made this software render version of it, which never quite worked out. So the frame rate on this game is kind of bad, but the game is still fun to play, and it's still a really cool racing game.
Wacky Wheels, huh?
Wacky Wheels, yep.
Sean, number 2.
The Secret of Monkey Island.
Damn it, that was my number 2.
You're lame. You actually stole one of mine with Duke Nukem, so I'm removing that from my list. Secret of Monkey Island, fantastic game, point-and-click adventure. That was a LucasArts game, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, it was Lucasfilms at the time. Just great game. Just very Guybrush Threepwood. Cool name. I don't know why I like that name so much, but I do. and there's actually like a special edition on Steam now, I believe. So
Yes.
Yeah,
one of Tim Schafer's best games.
for sure. Well, since you picked mine, I guess I'll nominate Loom or Secret of Monkey Island: The Chuck's Revenge, which were other point-and-click adventure games from LucasArts at that time. Spent so many rainy recesses at school playing that. It was a fun story, and it was really challenging. And I actually downloaded all of the Monkey Island games recently, and they still like aged quite well in terms of challenge and fun.
Yep. From that series of games for LucasArts, I gotta say, hands down, Day of the Tentacle was my favorite of them all. Best voice acting, best story, best puzzles, everything about that. I love those other games. I pretty much love all of LucasArts games, but that one is the one that just blew me away. That was my favorite thing ever.
Well, teaser, my number one is a LucasArts game, which I hold truly dear to my heart.
All right, cool. All right, so I wanted to pick something that many people forgot, and it's fantastic. Now, this game was released on Windows, but it was released for myself on DOS, because I had a DOS computer. I could run games better on DOS than Windows, because Windows sometimes took more power to run things. So, this game is a gem. You gotta go out, you gotta play it. It's called Toonstruck. Now, Toonstruck stars Christopher Lloyd. They actually filmed him and digitized him in the game. He's pulled into a cartoon world, and the cartoon world is like voiced by people like Dan Castellaneta, who's the voice of Homer Simpson, Tim Curry, Dom DeLuise, Rob Paulson, Jim Cummings, and like a massive cast of voice actors from just all over. The entire game is a completely unified cartoon world, a point-and-click adventure very much in the same vein of what LucasArts games were, but reached to a whole completely different maximum experience. It's amazingly hilarious, tons of great music, and honestly, it's one of the most bizarre things you'll ever play, but it's really, really, really good. And it just didn't do very well because it was really expensive to make. In fact, half of all the animations created for the game were never released. So what they did was they released the first half of the game, and then they were going to release a sequel with all the other assets that were finished, but they never did it. So even to this day, the people that bought the rights to the game are still trying to release it, but they don't have enough money. And I imagine a Kickstarter is going to happen at some point or another. But Toonstruck, amazing game, well worth trying it out. Just go out and find it. I promise you it will be a crazy, wild experience you will not soon forget.
Listen to Shane. What are you playing, Sean?
Nothing. Oh, what's the music in the background?
Yeah.
Castlevania 3. My controller died.
Oh. Someone's asking, what was that game called again, Shane?
It's called Toonstruck. Toonstruck. I'll just write that down.
I remember that game now that I think about it.
It was released by Virgin back when they were doing interactive games and stuff. It's fantastic. It's really worth playing. I can't stress this enough. It's something that people don't really remember, but if you like Christopher Lloyd, he's acting in it kind of like Doc Brown, and it's amazing. It's just a fantastic game all around.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah, you're number one, Sean.
Duke Nukem 3D, hail to the king, baby. Don't have time to play with myself. Best game. I'm done.
That's it. Just drop the mic. Off he goes.
Everyone knows Duke Nukem 3D. Like, that game was the shit, dude. I remember playing that on bullshit ass internet connections and stuff. I love the humor.
I remember my cousins were like, "Look, there's a stripper in this game."
Oh hell yeah, dude! That was one of the best parts of it. It's just very juvenile and masculine. Imagine if that game came out in today's world. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It would be insane, man.
All right, before I go with my number one, we are going to be taking questions. We are 10, 15 minutes over. I guess we're not going to get into headlines of Nintendo. I don't think there's been that much.
There wasn't that much
in news anyway over the past week. But yeah, do prep your topics and questions. We're going to go over about 10, 15 minutes. Is that all right, Shane?
Yeah, absolutely fine.
All right, so we're going to go a bit over and take your questions. So don't worry about that. So my number one, and make this a New Year's resolution if you have never heard of this, or go buy a flight joystick and go pick up TIE Fighter. is the game that I have never played since I lost access to MS-DOS, basically. It had cinematics. It had characters from the Star Wars Expanded Universe. It was such a fully fleshed out Star Wars game. It was amazing. So you start off as a pilot in a lowly TIE fighter. It had an awesome story that picked up right after the Battle of Hoth, and you play as for the Empire the whole time. 13 chapter story with lots of depth that goes all the way to Return of the Jedi, the Battle of Endor, I think, or just before. Yeah, and you have like these secret missions for the Emperor. You got like these crazy tattoos. It was just so far ahead of its time, and I really wish that with modern tech, someone would remaster that game or just make something like as good. Like I don't feel like Rogue Squadron holds a candle to TIE Fighter. It's just such an amazing game, as you can tell by my enthusiasm.
Oh, it's a space simulator game through and through. It's a good one, yeah.
And like. So yeah, I love like too on the. I'm sorry, I'm nerding out on this, but you could like alter how much energy was going to your shields and your lasers or your engines all in real time. So like if you needed to like go faster, you could sacrifice your lasers and shields, and it was like just so many things that you could use on your keyboard. It was an awesome game, amazing. So yeah, all right. Thanks guys for the top 5. Great lists, great topics. So guys, we're opening up the room now. If you want to ask Shane any questions, since he's our special guest and will not be here in the future, whereas Sean and me, you guys get us pretty much every week.
What? He's never coming back? Like he might be back in the future.
That was kind of sad. I'm having fun. Oh no, but only this one time, and never asking questions again.
We have to make it special. It's all right. We'll toss out Sean and bring you in instead.
Oh boy.
That's fine. I might do better.
Yeah, class versus obscure. So yeah, guys, if you want to ask topics, questions for any 3 of us, anything you guys want us to discuss or anything you want to know, put it out in the chat room. Of course, we're gonna toss it up between us, and we're gonna repeat it and stuff so that people on SoundCloud can actually hear what the question is, because they can't see the chat or our expressions. And yes, this does go up on SoundCloud after, usually within the half hour after the podcast ends. We download this and send it up to SoundCloud, which you can find under the Nintendo Enthusiast. The SoundCloud, the cloud of sound.
Ooh, I like this question. Rerez, will we ever see negatives on either Earthbound or Chrono Trigger? I more like the first part of this question because I am not an Earthbound fan.
Yes, I am playing through Earthbound specifically to make a negatives episode on it. I am doing that. I think Earthbound is a very important franchise. It's kind of been like forgotten by Nintendo in some respects. But yes, I do want to do one desperately because everyone is so positive about the game, but I want to show off why it wasn't popular. Because I think a lot of people forget when it came out, the reasons why it didn't do well, despite the fact that it is a good game. So yeah, that is definitely something I am going to be doing. And Chrono Trigger, yes, but I also don't want to get stabbed next time I go to a convention. So we'll figure that one out as time goes on.
Do you ever feel scared about either like bringing a really bad game in a positive light, or worse, as putting a very great game in a negative light?
I never feel scared about doing anything for positives because generally there's just nobody there that really likes the game too much. But for negatives, I'm usually the first one to be a fan of the game, and that's something I'm trying to do. If I'm a fan of the game, I will do a negatives on it, and that way it's challenging for me. But I always admit at the end, this is a good game. If it's a game I don't appreciate very much, and everyone seems to, I will do a positives on it instead because I'm not a fan of it. So I'm finding the good aspects of it instead. So, yeah, that's kind of how that works.
Yeah, I know all about bashing good games. I took a swing at Shovel Knight when it came out, and it still haunts me to this day. I like this question. With Nintendo's next console, do you want them to take risk or be more like the PS4 and Xbone?
It needs to be. I mean, it defied risk. Like,
do we want to see industry with 3 clones or another Wii U?
You don't have to have 3 clones. You can be similar to the PS4 and the Xbox One in architecture. You could be similar to the PS4 and Xbox One in capabilities, but still be unique. Like, I think that's a very I think that's a very, like, I don't know, presumptuous thing to say, because people think that you have to, in order to take a risk, like Nintendo has to do something with the Wii where it was weaker but it had motion controls, and the Wii U where it was stronger than, the 360 but it also came out on the tail end of that. So, like, I think it could be a combination of both, and I think the whole thing with DNA and the circle of stuff where it's like all inclusive, the NX, the Wii U, the 3DS, the mobile handhelds, the PC all work together. Like, that can be the risk, that can be the unique feature, because there's nothing else really like that. Like, there's some stuff with the Vita and stuff, but the Vita's on its way out. And what do you have with the Xbox One? You have that HoloLens shit, which I hear is not as great as it's made out to be. So, you could still take the risk and whatnot, because but just make it a capable system. You can't. I don't think Nintendo can afford to make another system that's not capable of what other systems have, because what's the point of making it?
See, I think what's gone wrong. Everybody, when the Wii U or the Wii came out, it started to lose faith. It started to do poorly in sales near halfway through its lifespan before they introduced the Wii U. And the reason that happened was because where all the other consoles were like, HD is happening, Nintendo was like, no. But they saw it, they knew it, they just decided not to go in that way, and that hurt them. Now, I know everyone sees the Wii and thinks, oh, it sold great. But look at the other consoles. They actually caught up pretty quickly at the end of their lifespans. Having high definition is really important, and where Microsoft was like, oh, the Xbox One's gonna do 4K. Well, that's great, but that's really far away. That's at a point when we don't even care. Most people don't remember the original Xbox and the PlayStation 2 were both capable of doing 1080. Okay, 1080i. The Xbox, I've got tons of original Xbox games that are in high definition at 720p, but nobody ever plays the console in that way. What I think Nintendo needs to do for their next console to win is this. It's got to be the Wii U console, just that system with a much more refined interface. Okay, something very simple, something streamlined, not too far off from what they have now. All the DLC is free. This is important. Everyone else is going to charge for DLC. Nintendo will make it free. Make the game everlasting and make it survive. When you buy one of these Nintendo games at $75 and it's brand new in the store, you don't have to wait for the special edition that comes out next year that includes all the DLC. Whatever DLC, whatever console game you buy on the next Nintendo system, DLC has to be rolled in. If they don't do this, they're going to lose. Simple. That's got to be a big deal. The next thing is half the price of existing consoles. If you take that Wii U and you remove all the abilities with the Wii U gamepad and all that stuff, the system becomes drastically cheaper. And if you can half the cost of that system, you can undercut everyone else, and people will line up to buy the Wii U. The Wii U is just too close to the same cost as an Xbox One and a PlayStation 4, and I think that really damages it. On top of that, if you get rid of the Wii U gamepad and just include a basic controller, like the Wii U Pro controller is fantastic. That controller is amazing. One of the best controllers I've ever used, and it's got a 90-hour battery life. What? Dude, there are pacemakers with less battery life than that controller, and people's lives depend on those things. The fact that they've been able to do this is amazing. That controller on a smaller system, half the cost, free DLC, Nintendo would destroy the competition. They would be completely at the top. Also, maybe the controller should also be the 3DS. Why not? Just have the 3DS functionality built in. Because I own a 3DS and I own a Wii U, and those things just don't click in any way. And I'd love for them to be connected. That's all I really want. If they can do those two things, if they can do those simple things, make it cheaper, make it better, make the controller simple, I think a lot of people would buy a Wii U. Like, a lot. And unlike everyone else going nuts because we're not at 4K yet, the system would be in 1080p at 60 frames per second. That's all anybody needs. It just makes some really simple, really good games, and they would have a seller.
Now, you
Well, I
didn't
think
touch up on the mobile integration. Do you think that it'll play into their mobile strategy at all?
I think that their next mobile system is going to fail. So I don't think they need to invest too much time into it. The reason being is just Android, iOS are dominant platforms, and Nintendo has already basically looked at the mobile platforms, and they're taking an advantage. They're basically looking at what all these other companies are doing, and they're trying to get in that realm. I am a firm supporter of having video game systems and video game consoles that are exclusive to a specific platform, but I think whatever Nintendo does next, they need to make the platform kind of open. They need to have a very kind of inclusionary factor to bring on other developers. The 3DS is dominant, and that's where it gets all of their developers to produce things on there. But people are producing Android games like there's no tomorrow, and iOS games like there's no tomorrow. So if Nintendo were to open up the platform to allow other developers to build things on that system and have that same game exist on a different platform, I think we could see Nintendo overtake Android in terms of mobile gaming if they did it in a way where they still retained hard controls like a D-pad and a button system. Because the one thing I hate about Android games and iOS games in general is there are no hard controls, no buttons, no D-pads, and that's the worst thing in the world if you play real good video games that require that split-second input.
it's actually interesting how you said the 3DS should be a controller, because I almost feel like the what they did with Smash and using where you can use the 3DS as the controller for the Wii U version of the game. I think that was almost like a test realm for them, like to try that out, because I'm actually surprised that wasn't a main feature of the Wii U. I mean, essentially the Wii U is very similar to a 3DS in the way that there's two screens. So I don't understand why that wasn't a more touted feature, and maybe that's because they plan on doing that in the future with the NX and whatnot. Maybe that's one of the points of it.
Well, I think what had happened was with the GameCube, they actually had a connectivity with the Game Boy Advances, but they did that the dumbest way they possibly could. When you plugged up a Game Boy Advance to a GameCube, you couldn't charge the system. Right? Like it actually stopped. It went over top where you could charge it, and the system didn't charge the system. Or the Game Boy Advance SPs. Regular Game Boy Advances, you just have to switch out the AA batteries. But the fact that they did that was just they weren't thinking about things. And they had a lot of games that utilized the Game Boy Advance. And those were really interesting games and very well worth the investment, I think, because they made those games a little bit more interesting. But I think that the gamepad for the Wii U was a bad choice. I think that the 3DS should have been the controller people got with the Wii U. Even if it cost just like $100 more, whatever it was, they would have gotten a 3DS they could have taken around anywhere.
I don't think so. The 3DS is nowhere near as comfortable as the Wii U gamepad.
Oh, but then they could have just. But see that because they made the 3DS as as a portable device first. They could have refined that design to be more like a gamepad. I think what they did was they worked so hard to make one console and one portable platform. They never thought of unifying them because even with Android, even with iOS, they've never been able to get those things to merge. Nintendo rules the television in some instances, and they're really good with mobile gaming. And if they could merge those two things, Sony would have been years behind them. Microsoft would have never been able to catch up, and Android didn't have anything for television. And Apple, they're still struggling with the Apple TV because no one's buying that anymore. So I think that Nintendo could have pulled in the market and just killed everybody. Just massacred everyone. Like there would have been no one to compete against them because everyone else would have been years behind. And Nintendo has had so much time developing these systems that it shocks me. It completely shocks me that they didn't think of doing anything like that up front.
I mean, good. You raised a lot of good points.
Nothing. That's it.
What?
That's all you had to say? Like, me and Shane gave these excellent analogies and theories, and
you guys have covered a lot of good things. Like, I don't feel that you don't always need to add stuff when all the good stuff's been covered. I'm not going to talk just to put my touch on it.
I really think that Nintendo's going to do something smart with the NX just because they have to. You can't You can't afford and financially, yes, you can afford another Wii U, but it's not smart. And I think that they finally see the shift. It takes them a while. It takes them a while to see trends in games, just because, realistically, Nintendo of Japan calls the shots. It's not like Sega, where with the Genesis, Sega of Japan and Sega of America were like, apples and oranges. Nintendo of Japan really calls a lot of the shots. So I think they're finally starting to realize that the market that they thought was there has moved on to other things, so they kind of have to adjust to that. A lot of people think that the NX isn't, is shrouded in a lot of mystery and stuff, but I think there's been a lot of clues to how it's going to be, and from what I've gathered so far, I think it's going to be very positive, and I think it's going to be different enough to warrant a purchase, but it'll still be streamlined enough to where other people will want it.
I think the NX really. I think the best thing that can happen for the NX is that there are a lot of great Wii U games, and they need to release a system. Because, there are some basic Wii U games there where you could design them. The most important Nintendo Wii U games that are on the market right now are Super Smash Bros. And Mario Kart 8. That's pretty much it. And Splatoon, I guess, to an extent. But really, those games are key. When they release the NX, I think it has to have the ability to play Wii U games, but I think they need to find a solution out of that so that it's doing Wii U, but it's doing Wii U cheaper, so that it includes something like, maybe, like I said, maybe it is bundled with a 3DS, and then the Wii U capabilities just go onto the the 3DS pad itself or something. They need to figure out something, because if they just repeat what they did with the Wii U, look, financially, I know everyone says they can afford it, but they actually can't. When you piss off the investors that much, dude, and if you make an investor group really angry and they pull out, that's a lot of money you lose. They've got that much money. But if suddenly all the investors just sell, that money just disappears really, really fast. And people are scared to invest in Nintendo now because nobody has announced the next system so quick and been so open about it since, I think, Sega with the Dreamcast. They announced the Dural right after the Saturn started to really hit bad. And no one was buying a Saturn, and now Nintendo has announced its next system at a time when there was still a lot of people that hadn't bought a Wii U. And the sad thing is, the Wii U has some of the best games on the market right now.
Hang on, though. The only reason that the NX was dropped was because they mentioned mobile market. If they would have mentioned mobile market and walked away, everyone would have said, Nintendo's done with console gaming. The only reason the NX was there was just to say, we are still in the console gaming market and we're not going anywhere. That's the only reason the NX had to be dropped.
Yeah, but you can say that by saying, look at this gigantic list of games we're releasing. Instead, they went, look at this gigantic video game system we're releasing. And by the way, don't think about the Wii U anymore. That was a bad move. Historically, we're going to look back at that and look at that, and that may be the point where we were like, so this NX is Nintendo's Dreamcast. And I'm really hoping that's not the case, because
here's what I think the NX is going to play with the Wii U. I think that you're going to see, once the NX releases, I think you're going to see the Wii U box disappear off shelves. You're not going to see it anymore. What they're going to do is probably sell the gamepad as its own device, and the NX is going to be backwards compatible with the Wii U, so you can hook up a gamepad to the Wii U. So all the Wii U owners now can easily upgrade to the NX for, let's say, probably $300 is the price range I'm guessing. And then for newcomers to Nintendo, they can get an NX with all of the Nintendo exclusives, and let's say it comes bundled with a Pro Controller to keep that cost low. And if they want to get that off TV play experience and the full Wii U bundle, then they fork out $100 or $150 to get that gamepad. Or maybe, as you say, the new 3DS gets an upgrade where it can replace the Wii U gamepad. But I think that's what we're going to see.
You know, to be honest, I don't think they need to care about the Wii U market too much, though, because it's only 10 million people, and that's really not that much when you take into consideration where the GameCube was at the same point. What I think, when I think about this a lot, what I think they should do is they should release a system that is just the system, and it's as good as it's going to be right now. But then, when Sony and Microsoft make their next console announcements, Nintendo's like, No big deal. You buy this $100 add-on for the back of our system, and suddenly our system's just as powerful as the new guys. Only you didn't have to go out and spend a bunch of new money.
Yeah,
Like, think of it like the 32X.
Sega. Yeah, it smells of Sega though.
Yeah.
But the technology, you got to remember, like, that's actually a good point, because when Sega was doing shit like that with the Sega CD and the Sega 32X, technology was still at a premium. But equate it to like a PC. Like, you buy a PC and then you can upgrade that PC, and that PC can last you a very long time. So I don't see why Nintendo doesn't try to do something like that, to where you can buy upgrades to play stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that's actually smart. I think because PC really, you know, like this whole conversation we've been talking about PS4 and Xbox One, we haven't talked shit about PC. And I think if Nintendo took a more PC approach to the system, that would actually make it stick out, and that would make it unique without the whole stupid gimmick.
Well, guys, it's not like Nintendo's never done this before. Don't you remember the memory expansion on the Nintendo 64?
Exactly.
Right? They've done this stuff. Nintendo is one of the only companies to ever make that work. The new 3DS, right? These are extensions of their initial brands. They're the same system. They play the same thing, but just a couple additions here and there. And I think with whatever this Nintendo NX is, it's just a box, and then you buy the second box, and you make the system even more powerful. I think if they're able to do something like that, where they can basically just, you know, frame it so that it adds on more RAM, or it adds on more space, it adds on more processing power, you do it in a collectible way. Hey, you buy one Nintendo NX, you can play these games. But if you want it to be faster, if you want it to be bigger, you buy two and click them together. I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy, right? But when the 32X and the Sega CD and all those crazy things Sega did back in the day, when they did those things, they could have worked. The problem was Sega was like, oh, let's do the next thing. Oh, let's do the next thing. Oh, let's do the next thing. They didn't give it time. Everyone I've ever talked to that's really looked at this 32X, that's really looked at the Sega CD, has found amazing games on those platforms, and there is something there that was really working. But Sega never gave anything a chance. Even the Sega Saturn was killed way too early. They just kept jumping way too fast. The Dreamcast could have been released at the same time as the PlayStation 2, and it would have come in way cheaper with a DVD drive. Because they released it too fast, they didn't have time to put in a DVD drive. But if it came out at the same time at a cheaper price during the PlayStation 2 era, PlayStation probably wouldn't have survived, or at least Sega or an Xbox wouldn't be in the game right now, because Sega would have had the premium on the market with their initial user base. I think that if Nintendo were to do this and do it properly, they could kill the market.
I fully agree with the 32X analogy, because when you look at, because you got to remember, the 32X like came out, and then it was like a couple months, and then Sega was like, oh yeah, the Saturn's coming out, so why the fuck am I going to buy a 32X? But the 32X at the time, like, here's one of the best examples of the 32X right here. Virtua Fighter 32X, okay? I love this game, did a video on it. But seriously, you didn't have 3D fighters with polygons on the Super Nintendo. Couldn't do it. But the 32X allowed it. And they never, I mean, Colibri was a great game. Virtua Racing Deluxe was a great game. Star Wars Arcade actually could have been a great game. But, I mean, the 32X had power. It was just, you know, of course the first batch, I mean, look at the first batch of Genesis games compared to the end batch. Look at Altered Beast versus, you know, Vector Man or Sonic and Knuckles or something. Of course there's going to be, you know, a big difference in stuff. The first batch of 32X games were not that bad, considering that, you know, 40 games. If you look at the power that the 32X could have added, it could have been huge. But, you know, they wanted, so they killed it really before it could even get started. But I think add-ons could be a positive thing. It's just you have to believe in the add-on. You have to push the add-on. And if you don't, if you just leave it to die, then, you know, of course it's going to be bullshit. But
look, everybody wants to go out and keep buying consoles and stuff like that, because that keeps happening. So if you just made a console that had some kind of lockup where you bought two of them and suddenly it was a lot more powerful, I think that could really put a big advantage for Nintendo. And it can be done. I mean, The Sega CD and 32X lock-on technology actually had games that were designed for both systems in mind. So I think Fahrenheit you could just play with Sega CD. Now, of all the games to mention, Fahrenheit's not one of the best ones. I'm just saying, Sega CD had its own version of Fahrenheit. You got it when you bought the game. But if you had a 32X, the game looked even better, utilized better graphics and better settings. Star Wars Arcade on the 32X is a really good 3D game on a Sega Genesis. Stuff that was running at a really good frame rate. And that's what I think a lot of people never really think about when they think about that stuff. The system suddenly was capable of doing far greater things. So if Nintendo were to release a little cube about that big and just say, hey, when the next guys come out and release their systems, all you got to do is buy our now even cheaper cube and hook them together, and then suddenly that system is a lot more powerful. That's all you got to do. Just think about that. That could be the thing.
Hardware-wise, that makes a lot of sense, and it's very smart, but my concern would be the development platform, because obviously to have a development platform that can support that kind of like hardware modularity, I can't imagine you would find something that's compatible on an Xbox and Sony or a PlayStation console. And then you're going to fall into the same problem with third-party developers where they're like, well, we can develop on two platforms that are easy and similar, or we can go on Nintendo.
Hold on. Okay, you're forgetting the fourth pillar in this, the PC. PC games are made with third-party PC games.
That's right, my friend.
Multi-platform releases are made with consoles in mind, and that's why there's a whole PC parity bullshit, because consoles are holding back PC games. So it wouldn't be any different. It would just be different in the sense that it's the first time it's done in home consoles, but that's already happening.
Nintendo could create the bridge between PC gaming and console gaming and completely destroy Microsoft and Nintendo. The fact that Microsoft and Sony are not already doing this is freaking insane, okay? The PlayStation is so close to a PC, all you gotta do is throw in a fucking copy of Windows. Sorry for swearing.
Crass.
But I mean, yeah, but this is the thing, right? Nintendo could literally do something like this. And I know everyone's like, well, how do you program for something like this? It's simple. When you hook up two systems and create a motherboard system that allows to hook up, think of it this way, with PCs right now you can put two video cards side by side that have the exact same makes, exact same gear, and they share memory and they share advantage, and suddenly your system's a lot more powerful. So do that. Two systems hooked together, suddenly your system is a lot more powerful. Okay? Hey, if you need two of these cubes, one cube runs the processing for, I don't know, AI, the other one runs processing for audio, whatever it is. You just basically extend the system and you make the platform greater. And remember, these systems would get cheaper as time goes on. So by the time Microsoft and Sony have went, okay guys, it's time for the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox 756. Why did we call it 1? Whatever happens there, okay? Whatever happens, the Nintendo system that comes out will be a quarter of the cost. And you hook up 4 of them, and those 4 double the power of anything they release. Whatever they release, they can release the most powerful system on the planet. All Nintendo has to do is buy 3, does what they do. Buy 5, it's faster.
It's good on paper, but in any industry that I've seen, even in my, I've studied electrical engineering, and what you're saying sounds so amazing, but it's really, like Sean's saying, we're already seeing it on PC. Well, Xbox and PlayStation are basically emulating PC. What you're describing, Shane, would be kind of like a whole new step. Like, if Nintendo did this, I would almost expect PC to kind of, okay, now PC has to kind of emulate Nintendo in terms of...
Yeah? So, dude, Nintendo, everyone's like, Nintendo has money. Okay, show it. Lay down a couple bills on the table, my friend. Show everybody that you got style. Show everybody that you can take a product, a crazy little crappy processor, and you merge them. Okay, let's talk about built-in memory with these things, built-in space. You just rate it, okay? Every time you hook up one of these things, you rate it, and then it just becomes double. Like it makes the space larger. Then you hook up the processor side by side, treat it as a different core, and then when it comes to video card stuff, you just keep duplicating the memory. I know that there is a point when it becomes way too powerful and it doesn't work in the same respect, but then what you do is you just break off like processors, and you just allow those processors to exist in those certain categories and design games with like that thing. Imagine if you went to go buy a Nintendo game, and on the back of the box it says you need 3 NXs, 3 cubes, or whatever it is, and you hook them together. If they could do something like that, Nintendo would completely own everyone. And that's a great place to be. And I know what you're thinking, like, well, where's the third-party support come out?
Right.
Think of it this way. What if Nintendo went up to a developer and went, the game you design on our system will live forever. It will keep going for generations, and it won't stop. And it won't stop.
And they're going to say, and how much money is that going to give me?
Yeah.
If it doesn't stop on 10 million, like, okay, I've got an eternal game on 10 million user base, or I can go sell to my 120 million user base over here. Like, I don't care about your eternal 10 million user base.
Hey man, go ask every developer on Steam what it feels like to keep selling a game for years and years and years after. Did you know how many copies of Fallout 3 they sold as soon as they announced Fallout 4 on Steam? In the past, that never happened. In the past, oh, that's cool, I got a copy here. But Steam, dude, boom, boom, they kept selling it. And that's exactly what Nintendo could do. Nintendo could be the complete definition of gaming on the home market front and completely undercut everyone else. They could make a system that's pieces. They could make a system like Amiibos, because they seem to be so damn good at that, and all you got to do is just, the more Amiibos that you buy, the better it is. I've seen people with so many Amiibos at home that it's borderline psychotic. If you could make a system that has that same kind of appeal of running out and buying as many of these systems as you can, dude, tell me I'm wrong, because I'm not.
No, you're not. And you've definitely solidified your position in our next class versus class topic, when we're going to go in more in depth in NX. But I'm going to have to be the lame guy and call it quits here for tonight, 10:30. So we are way over time, but this was a great conversation. Thank you for whoever tossed up that topic. Just to wrap it up, though, I don't know if this is going to... Okay, guys, keep it simple, but do you guys still think... When do you think the NX we'll see the NX commercial release? Just a date. A year. That's all I want.
I think 6 months after the next E3.
So you're saying 2016?
I think if they're smart, that's what they're going to do. Yeah.
Okay. Sean?
If you asked me 4 months ago, I would have said bullshit on 2016, but winter 2000, holiday 2016 for sure.
All right. So we're all thinking the same thing. I'm right there with you guys. Holiday 2016 is what I'm starting to feel. Is what they're going to do. But we're going to save this for another discussion, maybe when more NX facts come out. There's definitely a lot more that we can explore here. Maybe bring a fourth guest just to make it that much fresher. So I want to thank you so much, Shane, for joining us. This was a great discussion. Honestly, the chat room went quiet when we went into that NX, so I think we had all ears. You guys have been a great crowd tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back next Sunday on Class vs. Crass. It'll either be Sean and myself, or we might have a special guest. We always kind of throw in a surprise for these things. If you just caught the end of this, it's going to be posted on our Nintendo Enthusiast YouTube channel. You can check that out. It's also posted on SoundCloud if you don't want to see any of our faces and just want to hear our voices. I actually prefer it, honestly, on SoundCloud. I just find it easier to listen and do stuff.
It's so much easier to listen to our beautiful voices.
Especially when you sound like that. Like, wow.
You know, I was going to say this. I think the NX is going to come out. It's going to be a wristwatch. You watch, and I'm just going to be sitting there like, oh god, this is the dumbest thing.
Probably. What I was just laughing at Sean the other day. He has this video on our channel, which will be there forever now, which says Nintendo at E3 is going to be massive, and this is why.
Well, first off, if you watch that video, I make excellent points, but I didn't assume that they were going to kill it, because it could have gone either way. It was either going to be, okay, the Wii U is dead, or, you know, fuck you, we're still going to stick with this. And they went the opposite way. I was wrong, you know. At least I didn't, you know, make a video against Shovel Knight or something.
Oh, he tries. So yeah, guys, thanks for joining us. We'll be back next week. For this week, you have I don't know, what do you have to look forward to this week on Nintendo Enthusiast? Hopefully, I get the Wii 100 out. No promises there.
Hopefully, I can get that video I was talking to you about done. I should be able to. I just gotta
Sean has a nice surprise for you. He's actually upping his game. If you want to find me on Twitter, I'm at Jason_Lapine. You can find me there. If you want to find Shane, he's got his channel on YouTube. You can go at rerez.net or just type in Rerez on YouTube. He's got great shows there. I'm going to let him promote it himself here. So go for it, Shane. Where can people find you?
Well, you guys can find me on rerez.net or youtube.com/user/rerez or just youtube.com/rerez. And you can also type in Rerez on Google or YouTube or wherever and just find it. I do tons of shows about a bunch of different things, rare video games, new video games, common video games, and I do a series called Positives and Negatives where I look at the best aspects of the worst games ever and the worst aspects of the best games ever, which I'm very, very happy about doing that show. It's very fun.
And also, Shane's Canadian too, so heads up to
yes
for that. All right, Sean.
I got to do my Splatoon review update. I should have that up sometime soon. I just wrote a really cool article that actually plays into what we're talking about. I guess I could spoil it for you guys. It's 5 of Nintendo's biggest risks and their outcome. It's actually ready to go. I was going to drop it tonight, but I might save it for tomorrow. That's a pretty good article that I wrote. Like I said, I'm working on a video for this channel, of course, something more proper and, well done. And then you can always find the shit show on Retro Gaming Tube 85. See that little douchebag that just typed in a bunch of letters in the chat room? That's me. And so make sure you're subbed to both channels. And yeah, that's about it.
All right. So hope you guys have a good night. Have a good week. Keep on playing Nintendo and everything good in gaming, not just Nintendo. We'll catch you next week.
Keep on playing it.
Keep on playing it. Oh, I miss saying that.
Yeah, make it.
So, guys, keep it classy, or as Sean would say,
keep it crassy.
All right. Good night.